From heartbreak to hope. My rebirth story. They say the deepest pain comes not from enemies, but from those we once trusted with our hearts. I learned that truth in the most devastating way, through the man I once called my husband. This is not just a story about betrayal. It's about how a broken heart can still learn to beat again, stronger than before. When I first met David, I thought I had found my forever. He was kind, attentive, and spoke in a way that made every word feel like a promise. We met at a charity event. I was volunteering, and he was one of the sponsors. He admired how passionate I was about helping others, and I admired how confident he seemed. Within months, we were inseparable. My friends said we looked like the kind of couple people write novels about. I believed them. Our marriage started beautifully. We built a life that looked perfect from the outside. Weekend trips, quiet dinners, shared dreams. But perfection is often just a curtain hiding the chaos behind it. I began noticing small shifts in his behavior. Late-night phone calls, unexplained absences, and a new coldness in his touch. Whenever I asked, he'd smile and say I was overthinking. "You know I love you," he'd whisper. But love shouldn't have to be proven with words. It was a rainy Sunday afternoon when I found out the truth. I was looking for an umbrella in his car when I saw a small gift bag under the seat, a bracelet engraved with initials that weren't mine. My heart stopped. I checked the receipt, and the date matched the night he told me he was working late. The air left my lungs, and the world blurred. It wasn't the bracelet itself that broke me. It was the realization that the man I loved had chosen someone else to share his affection with. That night, I waited for him to come home. I looked at his face and wondered how long he had been lying so easily. He talked about his day while I quietly memorized the lines of his expression. The face of a stranger wearing the skin of the man I once adored. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Something inside me told me to wait until I was ready to face the truth without shattering. Over the next few weeks, I became an observer in my own marriage. I watched how he hid his phone when it rang, how he smiled at messages he thought I couldn't see, and how his affection became a performance. I began collecting pieces of evidence, not for revenge, but for reality. I needed to stop doubting myself. When I finally confronted him, he didn't even deny it. He just sighed, like he was tired of pretending. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said, as if betrayal could ever be accidental. "She makes me feel alive again." Those words burned through me like fire. Alive again? As if our life together had been a slow death. I stood there in silence, my heart breaking not because he cheated, but because he said it so calmly, as though I were the inconvenience in his pursuit of happiness. He packed a bag and left the next day. Just like that, the man I had loved for 8 years walked out of our home and left me in a silence that felt endless. The days that followed were a blur of tears, anger, and confusion. I could barely eat or sleep. Every corner of the house carried a memory I couldn't escape. I kept replaying his words in my head, wondering what I had done wrong, how I had lost the person I gave everything to. But pain has a strange way of clearing your vision. After weeks of drowning in heartbreak, something inside me shifted. One morning, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. My eyes were swollen, my spirit dull. That's when I whispered, "No more." I realized that the woman staring back at me deserved more than pity. She deserved peace. I started small. I began taking long walks, breathing in fresh air instead of old memories. I returned to my job full-time, focusing on projects I had once paused for him. I reconnected with friends I had unintentionally distanced myself from during my marriage. Slowly, I started to rebuild, not the life I had before, but the person I had lost along the way. Then came the day I decided to forgive him, not because he asked for it, but because I couldn't carry the weight of his sins any longer. Forgiveness didn't mean I wanted him back. It meant I refused to let him control the chapters of my story he wasn't part of anymore. Months later, I heard from mutual friends that his new relationship had fallen apart. He had tried to reach out to me, sending a long message filled with apologies and nostalgia. I read it once, then deleted it without replying. Closure didn't come from his regret. It came from my peace. I began writing again, journaling my thoughts, documenting my journey. What started as a coping mechanism became a new passion. My writing turned into reflections, and those reflections became a blog where I shared stories of healing, strength, and rebirth. To my surprise, people resonated with my words. Messages poured in from strangers saying, "Your story gave me hope." That's when I realized, my heartbreak had a purpose. One evening, after speaking at a small women's event about resilience, I walked home smiling. I wasn't the same woman who had once waited by the door for her husband to come home. I was free. I was whole. The pain that once threatened to destroy me had become the foundation for a new version of myself, wiser, stronger, and unbreakable. Sometimes, I still think of him. Not with anger, but with gratitude. He was the storm that taught me how to rebuild. His betrayal pushed me toward the life I was always meant to live. Because of him, I learned that heartbreak doesn't mark the end of a story. It's just the beginning of a better one. Now, when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who has walked through fire and come out shining. My scars don't make me weak, they make me real. I have learned to love again, but this time, I started with myself. And that's my rebirth story, proof that no matter how deeply love can wound you, there is always hope waiting on the other side. Sometimes, life breaks your heart to remind you that it still beats for you.